Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon on this beautiful, but sunless, S-U-N less, but S-O-N great Monday afternoon. Thank you so very much for joining us on today on this Project 365. I am Portia Wheatley. I am the founder and the president of a nonprofit organization acknowledged as Trophy of Life Incorporated, where we have the great opportunity, the privilege, and the God assignment to render hope, encouragement, and inspiration to you, our audience across the world. I'm bringing my co-host.
Hello, everyone. My name is Takira Swan, and I am so happy to be here with you today. So today we have a special guest that's so dear to my heart. She's amazing. But before she gets started, I would like to remind all of you to please go to our YouTube page, like, share, subscribe, because that is how you help us spread hope, encouragement, and inspiration to the entire world.
To the entire world. And we're so grateful to God to be his instruments in doing so. Well, today we have the great privilege. It really is a privilege and an honor to have with us today, Dr. Lois Anderson. We're so happy that you accepted our invitation to come and share this platform with us, and not just us, but with the world. And we're grateful to God for the same. Dr. Lois Anderson, what can I say? You know what? Let me think. Give me a second. There's so much that we could say about Dr. Lois Anderson. And it's something, she's usually one that's always giving. But she's going to sit there for a second and listen at us talk about how wonderful she is, just because of the God that's in her life, the well-rounded person that she is. It's so much that can be said about Dr. Lois Anderson. And we're so grateful to God that she's a part of my life. And I know, Takira, you're happy that she's a part of your life as well. And it's good to have individuals with such character and integrity to be a part of your life. So we're so grateful again to have Dr. Lois Anderson to join us. And usually I share with the individual or the guest that comes to our platform, I kind of give them a topic to work with. But today, I let God give her the topic on this Motivational Monday. So when you hear her, we'll hear her for the first time as well in what she has to say, or shall I say, what God has to say through her to the whole wide world. Again, Dr. Lois, thank you so very much for accepting our invitation to come and share on our platform. You have the platform.
Thank you so much, Ms. Portia and Ms. Takira Swan. I'm so honored to be with you this afternoon. I thank you for the invitation, and I'm so glad that I could join you today. This amazing platform and this phenomenal journey that you've taken over the course of the last year to provide hope, encouragement, and inspiration every day for the entire year has been absolutely amazing. And I'm just glad that I could be a part of it with you. Today, I do have something that's kind of on my heart. It probably would have been a little easier if you had given me a topic, because then I could have narrowed it down. But with that, I kind of have a couple of things that have been ruminating sort of in my mind and my heart for the last few days that I would love to share with those who are listening today, as we are, as you said in your description, kind of looking at the final stretch of this year. This time of year becomes very reflective for a lot of people. You know, we're looking back over what has happened in the last almost 365 days, you know, and we're thinking about what has happened, what has not happened, what we're still waiting on to happen, what God has not done, what God has done. And one of the things that kind of really jumped out at me to share this year is the power of perception, right? How we choose to look at things, or how we choose to perceive things, is how I heard it said recently, really has an impact on what we receive, right? So how I perceive does impact what it is that I receive. And I don't know that we are always aware of how our perceptions impact our experiences, and for us, reality. Perception has the ability to shape our behavior. It shapes our responses to things. And I want to encourage us as we're thinking about this past year, and not just this past year, this past season that we've come through and are still coming through, right? To consider how we are perceiving what is happening, right? And to challenge us to perhaps make a conscious choice to change our perception on some things. As I'm reflecting about what has not happened, to actually take the time and consider what has happened, right? As I'm thinking about the things that I am waiting to manifest in my life, to actually change my lens and begin to focus on the things that have manifested in the last year to 18 months, right? As I'm thinking about what I'm still waiting for God to do, to actually stop and pause and consider what has he already done, right? And so this last season has been so filled with loss and change and transition. But if we tell the truth, there are some good things that have come out of this time of pause, right? And if we stop to really consider it through a different lens, then our perspective on what's ahead of us, the opportunity that is still there, the things that God has transitioned, the things that he's bringing into our lives, the doors he closed, right? Those perspectives have a lot to do with what we're able now to be open to receive from God as we transition into the next season of our lives, right? Philippians 4 says this: finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, lovely, of good report, if there be any virtue and any praise, think on these things, right? So as we reflect and consider, don't always be ready to hone in on the negative things that have happened, but consider what's been positive in the things that have happened for us over the last period. And it will change our perspective and better posture us to be able to receive what comes into our life from a good lens. Is the glass half full or the glass half empty? Depends on your perspective, right? The other thing that really jumped out at my spirit that I wanted to share, and this one kind of comes from my leadership lens, when I think about Simon Sinek, who is one of my favorite leadership management authors. He talks about this idea of understanding your why, right? The reason for which we do the things that we're doing, or the reason for which we are engaged in the activities, the reason why we have the relationships we have, the choices that we make. And what Simon proposes is that our greatest inspiration comes from understanding what our why is, right? So often we focus or process information from the outside in. Most people can tell you what they do, and if they are adept at what they do, they can sometimes tell you how they do it. But when we start to ask the question why we do it, people are sometimes at a loss for words. And there is such value in understanding the why behind what I'm engaged in, what I'm expecting, what I am looking forward to manifesting in my life, or even what I'm putting my hands to. And I think this pause that we've had has given us an opportunity to reacquaint ourselves with the value of asking why, right? And not just becoming so rote, if you would, in what we do. We know where we go. We knew anyway, where we were going, how to get there. At 5 o'clock on this day, I'm on my way home from work. At 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, I'm at church. It was just routine. And I think the pause really did give us an opportunity to reacquaint ourselves with the why behind so much of what we're doing and where we're doing it and how even we're doing it. In my leadership lens, one of the exercises I will do sometimes, and I'm watching my time, is there's this exercise called the 5 whys, right? It's a root cause analysis. How do we get to the bottom of why something is happening is to answer 5 levels of why, right? So this happened, well, why did that happen? When we get the answer for why that happened, then I'm going to ask the next level of why. Well, why did that happen? And you go through 5 series of why until we get to the bottom. And no exercise that I've done makes people more uncomfortable than this one, right? Because sometimes we don't like to think about the whys behind the things that are happening. I just want to fix it. I just want to move on. I just want to jump to something new without taking the time to really evaluate the why. And so the next thing that really kind of hung up in my spirit was just don't be afraid to ask yourself why, right? And even as you're transitioning, we put these markers of time on things, but as we're transitioning through this period, don't be afraid to examine your whys. It's the greatest motivator for what you are trying to accomplish, is knowing why it is that I'm doing it. We process, like I said, from the outside in. So we have the what, we have the how, we don't always have the why, right? But if we are going to accomplish those things that are most valuable to us, if we start with the why, in fact, that's his book. One is start with the why, the other is find the why. But if we start with the why, right, we will often find ourselves having the fuel and the stamina to accomplish what it is that we set out to do, because it's not just about the what, right? It is about the why. Even Jesus, when he was being questioned by Pilate, and it's close to the end of his journey, Pilate says to him, so you're the king. And depending upon which translation you're reading, he essentially says, that's true. And for this cause did I come, to establish that truth. Everything that I've been through, and even now what I'm about to go through, headed to the cross, is substantiated. I can do this because I know my why. My why was I came to establish this truth. I am the King of Kings. You said it right. And so when we understand our why, I think transitioning through the disappointment of things not looking the way we ought to think they should look, at the moments that we're looking at them, it fuels us to keep pursuing. It fuels us to keep going. It fuels us to keep pushing when my movement is substantiated by a why, right? And then the last thing, because again, I told you there were a couple of things that really jumped out at me, is this idea of looking at life through the lens of a journey and not just a destination, right? It's you know, I alluded to a few minutes ago that we get caught up in these time frames, right? It's the end of the year, the beginning of the year. We were rushing through 2020 because we expected at the top of 2021, something was going to be different. And a lot of us were sorely disappointed to find that not a whole lot changed. And even as we're transitioning into 22, there are some things that we're still just not out of. It's still not changing, but we can get frustrated, disappointed, disillusioned when we are so focused on the destination that we forget the value in the journey, right? Back to what's happened over the last 18 months, there are things that have changed in all of us. And so it isn't just about where it is I'm ending up, but it's about how I'm getting there, right? Ralph Waldo Emerson, well, the quote's attributed to him that life is a journey, not just a destination. Although some people say that's a misattribution, I don't know. But the point is, it's a journey. And it's not just about where I end up. The truth of the matter is this, and you can look at different things in your life. If you are only concerned about where you end up, 9 times out of 10, when you get to that place, you're disappointed and you're disillusioned, because it really wasn't about the place. It was about the journey that it takes you to get to the place. The Bible says that he that has begun a good work in us is going to perform it to the day of completion. We focus on the day of completion. We're looking at getting there. It's manifested, it's done, it's here, but he's performing a work in us that gets us to completion. And it's that journey that develops those lasting character traits, that lasting spiritual life, that lasting those lasting relationships in the journey that gets us to the destination, right? One of, I read it somewhere, and again, as a leader, you'll know that's my lens. So I'm always looking at it through that leadership, but there's this quote I read that said something to the effect of, you will never appreciate what you learn in your journey to pursue. You will always more appreciate what you learn in your journey to pursuing excellence than you will the accolades when you get there, right? Because my journey to excellence is where the development happens, right? It's where I become the person who becomes a person of excellent character. It's where all of that development sort of takes place. And so I just want to admonish us to not be so focused on where we're going that we forget to take stock of the journey that's happening as we're getting there. We can look back over the last number of months and years in our lives and see how God has changed us. I may not be where I want to be, but I can attest to you that I'm not in the same space that I was when I started this journey. And if you're like me, when that transition begins to happen, there are parts of it that you reject because the journey you weren't expecting this twist or turn in your journey. But I'm encouraging us as we are coming to this season of transition, right? I think, at some point we're going to categorize this as pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. Like that's just going to be life. Pre-pandemic was this, post-pandemic was this, right? But whatever that marker is for you, that you not forget to take stock in the journey and getting to your destination, so that you aren't disheartened when you arrive at a place that you thought was going to be everything and you find that there's still something missing or lacking. Because it's not about the destination as much as it is about the journey that it takes us to get there. I'm going to stop there because I could keep talking. But with that, I will thank you again for the opportunity to share. Portia and Takira, I'm just so honored. This has been amazing to watch you guys do, and I'll turn it back over to you.
That has been amazing just to sit and listen to you. You could go on, you didn't take those full minutes. So I know without a doubt, we worked together for 20 years or maybe 20 plus years in leadership. And I know you're impeccable with your skill and ability and all of that. And it's good when we can speak of someone and not have to search for words to describe a person or to talk about a person. And I'm grateful for what I've learned from you as well, because it's also made me into who I am today. And I carry many of those things that I've learned from you into what I do now. So I'm grateful. And we always should be at a point where our life is a witness, as well as our life can be a learning, a stepping stone as a learning tool for the life of someone else. And that is what we've gotten from you. And I know leadership, being a leader, is your heart, mind, soul, body, your lens and your conversation and everything. Can you please tell us about your company called Polished Arrow? That is amazing. Audience is amazing.
Thank you so much for that, and the opportunity just to say Polished Arrow is, it's just that, it's a leadership development organization that kind of focuses on exactly what you said, bridging that gap between people who have a passion to touch and impact the lives of people and the skill that's sometimes needed to do that, right? And so we kind of come in and we meet at this point. The goal is to bridge that gap, right? To give you and equip you with tools that will help you to be effective at having a positive influence in the lives of others. I think sometimes we look at leadership as and we have leadership roles, position, title, but genuine leadership is really about impacting the lives of other people. It's about having influence wherever you are and however you've been postured. And so from that lens, sometimes we are absent the skills to make a positive impact. So Polished Arrow focuses on that from the individual to the organization, right? So we do individual leadership development coaching, one-on-one, we do team development coaching. We can help individuals set up individual development plans for their own leadership development. We come in to organizations and help them identify how to set up a leadership pipeline, succession planning for leaders. My focus is the body of Christ. Not that I don't equip and train leaders in other venues, because I do, but I ultimately am focused on making sure that as Christian leaders, we are able to change the world, that where God has positioned us, we are able to make positive impact. And so that's what Polished Arrow does.
It's a wonderful program, whether you call it program or business, because it's working both. It's in the corporate world as well as your individual life, because I'm gonna tell you the truth. So We wonder sometimes why you're not a leader. You don't even know how to talk to people. Come on. So if you want to teach someone to communicate better, check out Dr. Lois Anderson and Polish Arrow. Really, I'm so serious. We wonder why we don't get promoted to different positions. It's because we don't have that skill and ability to know how to communicate with others to cause them to want to be a leader themselves. So it's a whole lot that you can learn from Polish Arrow. Matter of fact,
And Miss,
I post.
oh, I was just going to say, if I can add to that, that a lot of times, both corporately and in the church, we do put people into leadership positions because they have a particular skill or ability, right? And so my corporate lens oftentimes takes me into healthcare. And we'll put people in positions because they have a technical skill. In the church, because they've been a faithful member, we put them over ministries and we give them opportunities where they are now impacting the lives of people. Well, that's a different skill set. And we don't always have that skill set. So we need to develop our leadership skills just like we do any other skill set in our lives.
We've seen it across the board. We've seen it across the board. And really, we're there to help each other. It's not about me, myself, and I. It's about helping each other. Takira, I know you've seen Dr. Lois in action many times. Many times.
Many times. I too have actually learned so much from you. I don't even think you really know how much I've learned on how much of an impact that you've had in my life just by being yourself and doing what you have been called to do. So one, I just want to publicly say thank you, because like you said, it's all about perception and the journey and everything. And you really do teach that to others without even trying, in case you don't know. So before I start my little spiel real quick, I do want to say, guys, please support her business, Polished Arrow. It really is good. When she talked about, putting people in positions, whether it's in the corporate world or in church or whatever, because they have that skill set. How many times have we had bosses or someone who was over us, or supervisors or leaders that we had to go to, and you're like, man, they can do their job really well, but we don't like them. We don't like them, or I hate having to talk to this person, or why does she communicate, or why does he or she communicate that way? And it's really a finesse to being a great leader. And you can do a job so well. You can be the best at doing a particular job, but not be a great leader. And I think Polished Arrow is such a good business to support, because she'll definitely get you on the straight and narrow on that one. But I really do love your topic about the power of perception today, because the times that we're in, it's been rough for everybody, but how we come out of this is all about our perception. And that's one thing we've been saying like all year, guys, 300 plus days, about changing your mindset and your situation. Your situation may not change, but it's how you perceive it, how you think of it. So this is just another wonderful guest who's come and told you, like, listen, is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? Just because your situation, whatever it is, good, bad, and different, is not changing, it's okay. Change your mindset, because that's how you grow. And I really love how you said about, it's all about the journey, not the destination. Yes. Because how many times do we just focus on that end goal, and then we get there and we're like, okay, so now what? Yeah, so now what? So, but it's like, okay, what you had to go through and what you had to do to get here. Did you learn what you were supposed to learn? Did you get all of that? Did you get everything you're supposed to get out of it? Or were you just so focused, like, I just got to do this, and now you're there and you're not satisfied, you're not happy. You're like, well, what else am I going to do? You may even make some decisions that you weren't supposed to make because you didn't take time to pay attention to your journey. So I just want to encourage everyone also to share this with everyone that you know, because everyone can benefit from this today. But just take time to be grateful for where you are, even if it's not where you want to be, and just look at your situation and say, what am I learning from this? Let's do some reflection here. What have I learned? What have I gone through? What have I overcome already? If your situation's not what you want it to be, it's like, hey, wait a minute. I got through A, B, and C. I didn't even pay attention to that because I'm so focused on getting here. So let's just focus on our journey, guys. You're going to get to that destination, but let's be present in the moment and change our mindset.
Change our mindset. It is amazing what we can learn from each other and our perception of situations. We just want to give a shout out to our spiritual father, Archbishop Ralph Dennis, because Lois is who she is because of course, God, that's a category by himself. But Lois is who she is because of him. Takira is who she is because of him. And I am who I am because of him. Is so much can be said about him, but we're grateful to God to be under his leadership. And then even to speak of Polished Arrow in this particular setting, we would love for you to contact Dr. Lois Anderson, whether it's ministry related or if it's corporations and businesses, small businesses, large businesses. They're pulling after her, and we're grateful that she's a part of our lives as our friend. Now, Dr. Lois, do you have an event coming up, or how can they reach you? Because we're definitely going to place your contact information in the comment section.
Sure, you can reach me. You can certainly reach out to me through my social media pages, Facebook and Instagram. Polished Arrow does have a website. It's www.polishederrowinc.com, which I think is still up. It's going under construction because Polished Arrow is going to take a little bit of a new face in the coming year, and I'm excited about that. So there are things that we're planning that we'll be announcing, but in the meantime, feel free to reach out to me through my social media pages. My email is still up. That's info@polishederrowinc.com.
All right. Well, you've heard it. You've heard it. And this is such an investment that you will be really glad that you did, whether it's an individual investment or a corporate investment or a ministry investment. Leaders, send your leaders to Dr. Lois Anderson. We're grateful for you coming and tuning in today.
Again, for the opportunity.
Thank you. We appreciate you, Lois, in the body of Christ, and naturally just in being our friend. Thank you so much. Takira, we will see the world tomorrow. And let's see, we will see them on this platform, Project 365. And could you help the audience know what time we're supposed to see them?
Of course, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right. God bless everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.